Hey guys, how's it doing? This is False Bulls 123 coming to you from Medford, Oregon. Now, this is the last video I'm doing for January, and I think that I've gotten pretty comfortable, editing and filming, and just getting into the hang of things for, down here in Medford. I don't know, which one of you guys is on the YouTube platform actually looked at any of my other content, but if you, read any of my blogs, if you listen to my Bandcamp, which I know I haven't really updated recently. I just don't really make that many songs. But if you check out any of that other stuff, I hope you can see that I do try to have a consistent quality in both production and, quality in content. Now, one of my goals as a creator, besides, I'm definitely planning on getting a bit more furniture in here, actually decluttering my room right now because it is an absolute mess. But another thing I'm trying to focus on right now is just definitely looking into software. I'm using Go at the moment, which is the mobile version, and I've been having some issues with that. The software has been glitching out on me, and my computer, my laptop, doesn't really handle the video editing that well. I'm looking for a workaround at the moment, but it's probably just going to be the same for Go and just, hoping it works out until I can actually get a PC that can video edit properly. That being said, I'm always in the market for new tech, especially stuff that's free because I'm a broke bitch. And just let me know down in the comments. Besides that, I wanted to get started with the video and just show you around. So, what's in my backpack? Does any of you know? You don't. That's why I did a video about it. Now, I'm trying to think about that for a second. I bought this about a couple months ago, right around the beginning of my channel actually. And I wanted to have something that I could keep all of my shit in. So I was working at Walmart at the time, and you might remember that from some of my previous videos I would mention it, and the fact I have a freaking vest in the background. But I needed something to keep all my stuff in. And so around that time, I was always working during my lunch period, working on all of the other stuff, because I was devoted towards starting up the content network. So I was building the blogs. I was doing a lot of research. At that time, I was doing a lot of research into my second channel, which I have not published on, called Vox Pop Explained. And Vox Pop Explained is basically one of those video essay channels where you talk about sort of creepy things. I'm a huge Nightmind fan, and so I wanted to definitely do something around that niche. So, if you guys want to check it out, I have a link in my, selected channel section on my page. Totally look it up. I have a trailer there, but I'm just not producing right now because of, video editing. It's a lot of work to actually produce that, and I want to wait till I actually have a good setup for that type of thing. That being said, besides that, I had a lot of other notebooks that I would use for, my work. I had kept ledgers, I kept a bunch of other notebooks that I would use for a variety of things, and all of that would keep me sort of situated and on task. I grew up always a very type B person, and I've never been a clean person, I would think. Well, I'm a clean person as in sanitary. I'm not a clean person as in tidy. There are definitely different connotations there. I am always a very sanitary person. I'm a cook, for Pete's sake. But I am not always the most tidiest. If I'm in the kitchen, very strict in organization, very strict in hygiene. If I'm at home, I fucking throw my shit wherever. It's my house. Who the fuck cares, And so, basically, today's video is just me showing you what I got in my bag. Oh, yeah. So, starting up, as you can see, this is actually not a technical backpack. This is supposed to be used to carry laptops, which I don't use for my laptop because I have a laptop bag. Imagine that. It has some sort of polka dot pattern on it. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it's there. And the only thing I really keep on the outside is my water bottle. Now, I've had this water bottle for about 3 years now, I believe. Still works, as you can see. And I bought this when I was first week of college, actually. First thing I bought. in college. And this is a fucking lifesaver. It keeps me hydrated. I would literally use it because I didn't own a cup for 2 years when I lived in the dorms. That sounds weird, but if you ever, like, move to college and you realize you don't have any furniture, like, you feel me. And so, I still have it. I've been thinking about actually, like, replacing it just because I definitely... It's getting old, and they literally sell the same model at Walmart at the moment, So, I just want to make sure there's nothing in that pocket. But let's actually get down to the stuff inside of it. Next up, I have a clipboard. I don't have anything important on here right now, but I'll usually use this to keep any sort of paperwork I need to turn in, any sort of other things. When I'm doing job interviews, I'll either have a folder or I'll clip clip one of my resumes to it. I actually just redid my resume, and I was really proud of it. Because when I applied to my current job, I wanted to make sure that when I came in, I had a spanking new redesigned resume, because my old one was very clunky. I made it when I was, first made my first resume when I was, 2016. I just graduated high school. I had no job experience. But I still put in the effort to, make myself a resume, learn how to do it. And I literally just went online, looked at a template, and, sort of recreated it half-assed in Windows. In Word, but you know what I mean. Let's see, next up I have... this is one of my research notebooks. I use this for my Vox Pop Explained channel, which I was telling you about. So, oh dear lord. Look at me being a mess. Like I told you. But, yeah, I use this for my Vox Pop Explained one. This is my second notebook that I've used for that channel. The first one I filled up with notes about Skillshare classes, which this is not sponsored, but it's a really great thing. I definitely recommend it if you ever need a thing to learn about video editing or any of that other creative stuff. I've been using it, and I need to start using it again because I paid for a year subscription. I don't want that money to go to waste. But I'm getting off topic. Basically, this is the second one I did. My first notebook was the Skillshare classes and information about the Hope Diamond, which really fascinating history, if we're being honest. This one is a couple pages filled in, and it's mostly about, let's see, the death of Princess Diana, the Princess of Wales. So it's a lot of different sources. When I stopped doing the research on it, I had mostly been a couple pages into Operation Paget, which is is basically the giant document that disproves every single conspiracy theory that occurred around her. Long story short, if you're actually interested in the topic, is that after Princess Diana's death, along with her lover Dodi al-Fahid, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, Dodi's father, Mohammed, essentially started making accusations that Prince Philip, he's not the king, Prince Philip had ordered the assassination of Diana because they believed that she was basically becoming a problem for the throne by having essentially the future king, her children's mother, dating a Muslim Egyptian. This, however, is unrealistic. First of all, Princess Diana had actually dated an Egyptian man before she dated Dodi al-Fahid several months earlier, and none of the royal family had an issue with the man's race or religious background. Second of all, it's a very absurd concept. Somebody on my words again, but a lot of the conspiracies, a lot of the backlash were mostly instigated by either Mohammed al-Fahid, and many of the claims he made, such as them buying an engagement ring or her being pregnant, were completely unsupported as it's later found out. Of course, the sudden death of one of the most, well-known and beloved political figures of the 90s is going to have some controversy. Just like people think that, Elvis is still alive for some reason. But most, if all of the conspiracies are completely unfounded. I definitely think that there are some interesting points in the case, such as the fact that none of them were wearing seatbelts at the time, which was never properly explained. And of course, you have you have all the people pointing out the white fiat, which is never, like, really been resolved well. But for the most part, I think that it was simply a bad case of distracted driving with the paparazzi, and the fact that Henry Paul, who was a known alcoholic and very, very drunk, since he had been off shift for several hours, had simply just not had the wherewithal to protect themselves in that crash. And it was an unfortunate death, and it was a shocking death, but I do not think that there's a greater conspiracy behind it. Now, that was way too many words about the death of a woman who died like 30 years ago. Actually, no, she died 22 years ago. You want to know how I know that? I was born in 1997. Isn't that fun? Anyway, next up is not a notebook, but actually a puzzle book. It's a thing of cryptograms. I love cryptography. And I don't do it enough, if I'm being honest. I really don't. But I always like doing those little like cryptograms, doing those puzzles. And I literally bought that book on the day that I moved back to Bedford. If you're interested in seeing that day, that was my finale for my moving story. It should be on my channel, either like, right on top or in my moving story playlist. So definitely check that out. That's one of my favorite videos that I have on my channel. And I bought it the day before, and I was like doing those all throughout the day in between filming. So I just have that in my backpack because it keeps me entertained, especially if I don't want to do any sort of busy work with my notebooks. Let's see. Next up is, make sure I have this orientated correctly. Ah, yes. This is my ledger, which I actually haven't touched in about a month. I usually use this when I need to budget for things, write things down. And so I actually used to have two ledgers. One was my day-to-day expenses, and the other one was for price budgeting things. So I write out, like, common expenses, figure, like, write a range of prices, figure out how much we would usually spend per month, and then work out a budget that way. But I left that with my roommates when I left because they were the ones taking care of the household, and they would need that information. I also just have way too many notebooks to begin with, so you gotta condense somewhere, Let's see. Besides that, the only thing else I have in this main pocket is, this is just a notepad that I bought at Walmart 5-6 months ago. And right now, all it has is just D&D notes. Nothing super important. This is for my Force of the Kingfisher module. And I mostly just need to, either write that down or transcribe it to a different, notebook. Speaking of D&D notebooks, this is a new one I got, and I don't usually have it in my backpack, but it's here for right now. And this is my D&D notebook, and I do maps, I do a lot of other planning things out here. Mostly just because my original graph notebook, I filled the fuck up, which, that's an accomplishment for me. I like to have a graph notebook just because it makes plotting things so easily. And not just, maps or, designs that I do for, myself. I'll use graph paper for, a lot of things. I like to do them for decision trees in video games. If I'm playing, a Choose Your Adventure, I like to plot that out. I might have to, do a video on my graph notebook some other time because I actually have a lot of fun things in there. But one of the things I have is, I think it's called Kiss Me the Otami Game or something. It's this one by Michaela Laud, the voice actress for Yandere-chan. If you know what that is, awesome. If not, I'll probably have to just put a picture around here to show you. But basically, she made an Otami game, and I had to actually plotted out a good 50% of the decision trees just to keep track of it all. I like to do that because it's fun for me, and then I have a perfect map of how to play the game if I'm trying to get a specific ending. And a lot of the times I do that just so I don't backtrack, because I hate doing that, But here is, I only have maps right now for my Kingfisher module, but I'll show you a couple quick pages. So here is one for a, wall dungeon. These two are larger mazes that have multiple endings. Because basically I wanted to have 3 main large mazes in the game. That way multiple characters could go there and it has some replay value. Otherwise, you're making like a unique maze for each character, and you have to fit that in narratively. And I like the idea of them going to centralized mazes and having like, multiple things. That allows them to not do as much backtracking, and it also gives them a sense that like, they can come back to a maze and see it in a different light, which I think is kind of cool. I don't have too much information here because I just bought this. But when I have more stuff filled out, I'll definitely have to do a video for D&D and just like kind of show you some of my like map design. Because I have a few other types of maps and maze like designs, which would be really fun to show you. Let's see. I'm trying to see what else we got here that might be a little bit interesting. Okay. This is another new edition, and mostly just because I haven't put this in my files yet. This is my packet from my home care worker orientation. So I've been working for like the past month to become a home care worker, which to the uninitiated, if you don't know what that means, basically means I'm going to go to somebody's house and help them take care of themselves, basically. So if you have a disability, or if you are like, mentally, physically disabled, elderly, that type of thing, and you need help, either doing housework or chores or driving places, you can ask the state to get you a home care worker, which basically is kind of like a hospice person, but instead of like dying, you just need some help with the day-to-day. So at home care. I'm doing it for my mother, which she has had like, she actually just had a second stroke. She's doing pretty well. She's improving a lot. She just has a bit to go speech-wise and like, with the swallowing. And we're really happy how much progress she's made since like, a couple weeks ago. And so like, she asked me to become her, like, caretaker a couple months ago, and I've been doing the paperwork to start that. And I think it's really great because I get to spend time with my mother, and, the state can pretty much subsidize that for her, which is nice because that will help me, like, financially. And that, like, helps her and just gives me an excuse to be there anyway. And I would have already, like, helped my mom, but it's nice that I can, I guess, get paid to do it, I'm not going to show you, like, any of the stuff in it, mostly just because it's either really boring or I don't think there's anything that would, like, help you sell my identity, but it's pretty niche stuff. But that's something, like, new that I've been doing, and it's definitely interesting. I just want to do the best I can, like, help my mom as best as I can, because, she raised me. Now it's my turn to take care of her. Let's see. I'm trying to see what else we got in here, because I do have a few other notebooks and stuff, but I just want to pick the stuff that I think is like most interesting first, just to have fun with it. Next up is, and I didn't have these in Coos Bay because they didn't publish them there, but I'm really happy that they had them here. And that is Caminos. So if you don't live in, I guess, the Rogue Valley, you don't know what Caminos is. Caminos is a Spanish-English magazine that is free, and they publish it monthly. And so basically, and like they'll get them out to people, and I really like it. Not necessarily for the quality of the articles. They're good, I just can't really, I'm not fluente, so I can't really understand them to the same sort of level as a fluent Spanish speaker. Let's see. I'm learning Español para 2 años, and so mi español no es bueno. Actually, give me a second, because I do want to say this properly. Mi español no es bueno. Yo leo es bien, pero mi habla no es bueno, muy malo. And I do try. I've been using Duolingo for like the past 3 years, I guess. I've been doing it, like, ever since high school. Because when I got out of high school, I wanted to, like, be able to speak more than one language. I didn't want to be monolingual. And so I've been trying my best to really learn the language. And I'm not good. Let's see. Me gusto un turisto, but I've been trying. And so with Caminos, since I can, like, get these, I'll read the articles and also, like, just have my dictionary on one side and, like, write in the words I know and then, like, sort of learn new words. And that helps with my vocabulary, that helps with, like, my actual reading skills, and it just helps me become a better Espanol speaker. And I'm really glad that I have this resource again because it's nice to actually be able to do that for my language studies. Yeah. And so that's pretty much long and short about that. Let's see. Yo hablo un español. Well, I messed that up. Yo hablo español un poco. Más poco. And so that's all you really need to know about that. Let's see. What do I got here? This is just another notebook. I don't remember what the cover is about. I think I actually started this as a Gravity Falls, like, theory notebook, which, just to show you how big of a weeb I was in high school, I freaking loved Gravity Falls. But, let's see, right now, I just have a... This is just, like, you know, one of those, like, random notebooks you keep to, like, just scratch things into. Let's see. Yeah, it got a few weird... It's got some... Okay. Sorry, I'm getting distracted, but... Let's see, here's a recipe for something in here. It looks like a cookie of some kind. And a few other strange things. Let's see, one of these pages was a... Ingress. If you haven't played Ingress, it's an ARG, augmented reality, not alternate, where that's made by Niantic Labs. It was actually made before Pokemon Go. And so they've been doing like these cryptography challenges. And I had a page on this, which I could not figure out the thing. Turns out it was a barcode. Who the heck thinks of, like, you know, doing it as a barcode, and where are they going to get a barcode scanner in this day and age? What, they're going to rob a grocery store just so they can solve a cryptogram thing? I guess maybe they might have an app on their phone, but it's like, honestly, that's not the point. And, it also looks like I have a small bit of writing, which, let's just do a dramatic reading, because that's always fun. She walked down the street, the shop fronts displaying their wares, her purse swishing from side to side, rustling with her smart dress. She stopped at one window, an antique store, typewriters and other minutiae displayed. She walked out to the end of the street and sat down in an enclosure, a bus stop. The bus came and she got on it. She placed her sack of groceries between her feet and stayed at the back of the head of an older couple who sat ahead of her. The bus braked, her sack tipping over, her groceries spilled. She scowled as the elderly woman handed her a bottle of apple cider vinegar. Thank you. Well, that happened. I know this is my writing, but I don't remember why I wrote that, to be honest. I do enjoy that type of thing where I do where I'll explain something really vaguely, and then I'll say it very specifically, like, she walked into an enclosure, a bus stop. Because I like the idea of her going to some place and then, like, you know, sort of, like, rephrasing in your head so that it sort of, like, paints an even broader picture. I know that I do that, I know that type of thing, I'll do it the same way in my novel that I haven't really written it completely, but I've half written, basically. That I wrote a couple chapters in, basically. That I've written I've written a couple chapters. But I know that I'll do the same thing in, like, you know, some of my other prose that I write. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else interesting in this notebook, and there really isn't. It's like 80% blank. So, enough time spent on that. Let's move on to the next thing, you know. Next up, I have... this is my bullet journal. This is my new bullet journal for 2020. And I'm not going to, like, you know, leaf through it. But I'm going to show you the cover just because I worked really hard and I love it. So if you've been on my Instagram, you've already seen this. But if you don't follow me on Instagram at Ryan James, do so. Come on. What you missing out on? Pictures. Mostly of trees. But pictures. Anyway, this is the cover of it. So I want to do like an Art Deco style just because we have like sort of the grid lines on it. And there you go. These are done with alcohol markers, not Copic, but some other type. I got them in a scrawler box, and I don't remember which one, but I'll probably post like a link to one of like either a Casey Golding or like a Yummy with Waffles or like one of those ones, just so you can like see what the scroller box was, because they do really great work, and those are the kind of people that inspired me to actually get the subscription. And I'm, been pretty. I definitely like having the gridded paper. My first bullet journal was just white paper, like sketchbook paper. So this one is a lot more funner. It doesn't have. I don't really have the same level of creativity with my spreads yet. But I definitely like the sort of utilitarian way that I've been doing it, at least for my planner sections. Because I like to have planner sections in my bullet journals, and then I like to have the collections, which are a bit more the fun stuff, So I usually keep that in my backpack when I'm walking along. If not, it's usually on my desk or like right on like the side of my bed, because I live on my bed right now. Trying to see if I have anything else in here, because it's pretty much empty by this point. And, oh, I do. This is, now, you might confuse this with some of the other ones, because I have a few, like, little mini notebooks that look like this. But this is my code book. What's a code book, you ask? And remember from, like, earlier, I like cryptography. Cryptology? Not cryptography. I had to think about that for a second. And so a code book is a book which lists all sorts of different types of code. So, for instance, the first page here, we have knock code, which is a code used a lot of times in military usage. And it's basically it's similar to Morse code, because you can do it audibly. But basically, knock code is you have a 5x5 grid, and you knock on it and you knock like, two different sequences to indicate which letter. So if I wanted to say hello, I would tap. Oh, I did that wrong. But basically, you would tap 1 to 5 taps to indicate which column it is, and 1 to 5 taps to indicate which, like, row it is. Other way around, you know what I mean. And that basically signifies which letter it is. And so essentially, highest character rate for any letter would be Z, which would be 5 taps, equaling 10 characters. The benefits is that clearly, like, it's easy to remember since you're only remembering a grid. The downside is, I guess, like, character encryption. Each character has a minimum of 2 to 10, notes that you have to remember per letter, as opposed to Morse code, which has 4 to 5 per letter. So, knock code is easier to remember. Morse code is is quicker to send, basically. And so I have other, that's some of them I have. What else do I have? I have the languages from Fez. Like, if you ever played that platform game, I love that. So I have the language from that. I was working on the Vignette cipher page, which obviously is going to take a minute. And then I also have pages for ASCII and binary. And, the Theban alphabet, which I wrote down after watching a Nightmind video because it was pretty interesting. Let's see. Looking to see if I have a few miscellaneous stuff in the bottom, but the only other notebook I have in here is I call it my script notebook. It's just like this tiny little wide rule notebook that I keep. I usually either do it for script writing for videos, or I'll usually use it to make to-do lists or budget lists and things like that. Basically, if I just need some scrap paper to write a list on, this is where it goes into. And that's nice because I can just rip out a page and then I don't have to worry about it. So like that. So if you ever see me looking down a video, I'm usually looking at this notebook. I have some stuff in the bottom of my backpack, and so let's see if I can just pull some of it out and see what I've forgotten to take out. Yeah, I have some random leather disc. I don't know what this belonged to, but it says Blackbeard Porter from the Deschutes Brewery, which I know is a local brewery. I'm sure he has found it around the house somewhere. My grandpa used to clean a lot of bars. And so he would get like a lot of alcohol memorabilia like that. So think Captain Morgan straws, like that little parrot on him and things like that. The other two things I keep in the bottom of my backpack is my recorder, or my camcorder. I still haven't gotten a cord for this yet, so hopefully I can get that soon. Maybe like, in a couple months. I don't really have the ability to process the videos yet on my laptop, so I might not start using this until I get an actual desktop. That's just going to be the truth about it. And I don't know how good the quality is going to be. It's an older camcorder, but that'll at least give us more sort of movement and ways to film. The only other thing I keep in here, and I don't know why, it's just in the bottom of my backpack, is an industrial hook. I found this on the street one day, and I'm just like, that's cool, I'm gonna take it. Because I have a hoarding problem, send help. But, yeah, I thought it was cool, and I'm thinking, like, maybe I'll make it into a necklace or something, because that would be cool, like, some sort of, I'm imagining, like, stone where, like, the thing is, then sort of stringing some sort of thread through that and having it as an actual, like, necklace. I don't think I would do chain just because that's a bit too on the nose. But maybe I could do like some sort of wrapped metal or some sort of like, rope with little metal bands on it. I'll have to figure some stuff. I've never actually made a necklace before, so I'll probably just keep it for a craft project. Like I said, hoarders, send help. But that's pretty much everything that's in my backpack. I keep a lot of notebooks, and that's just mostly to help me keep on track of things. So, hopefully you enjoyed that, or you fell asleep halfway through. But I had fun, so what can I say? Next up, I want to do a really special segment. So, let's get on with our bad selves. I bet you're wondering what my special segment is about. And, not much of a surprise, I just wanted to about music. So, I like listening to a lot of different bands. I have what you would call an eclectic palette. And so, a lot of my friends, they don't really know most of the music I'm talking about. And they're always like, oh my goodness, Ryan, you listen to like such obscure bands. But I'm like, how obscure can they be if they have like a Wikipedia page? I'm just like, it's not like I'm listening to some garage band from like Vancouver, Iowa or something. It's like, I just listen to stuff which isn't like mainstream hip-hop, okay? And it's like, and I can get it if I was like a really douchey hipster and I was like listening to, I don't know, like Tibetan throat singing or like any of that stuff that like hipsters listen to. But I'll usually just listen to like, more just alternate stuff, Like, this is Decemberists, or Florence and the Machine. I like Florence Welch, but if I'm being honest, I don't actually like Florence and the Machine that much. I liked her song Ulysses, but most of her music just didn't really... It wasn't for me, But that's not what I wanted to talk about today. So I thought that, as a new segment, just something fun that I could do at maybe the end of the videos to spice things up a little bit, because most of my, video endings are kind of boring. I just say, hey, thanks for watching the video. It's not that, great. Don't hate me. I'm a sad boy. You know what I mean? So I thought, I would just do something kind of different. Because I want to try new things. I kind of want to have, more of a vlogger-type style segments where I'll just talk about stuff I like. And hopefully you'll find that, fun and, throw heaps of money at me or something. Who knows? You don't have to do that. But, so basically I listened to 3 different albums recently that I really liked, that I thought were kind of cool new bands that were on my radar. And I just wanted to talk about them. So, the first one that's up is called Tikkle Me. They're a Swedish electropop band, which is fun to say. And I actually really like their music. When I first listened to them, I kind of got a Cake Big Betty vibe. Because you have that electropop thing, but then you have that, I don't know, sort of alternate, alternate pop type lyrics. There's one comment I was reading in one of the videos called them a pastel mother. And I felt that in my soul. Like, that was the most greatest description ever. Probably should have just said that from the beginning, but they just have some really fun, like, electropop music with that sort of, like, alternate pop type feeling. So if you're into, like, Mother Mother, if you're into, I guess Tally Ho, like, that sort of stuff, definitely check out Tikkle Me, because they're cool. The next one was called Pale Waves, and their Wikipedia is called an indie pop, which I guess that makes sense. I hate like when it's like something like that because it's a genre, but all that really tells me is if that they're not like backed by Fueled by Ramen. And Pale Waves, I like the music. They were a lot of people were discussing it as like accessible pop music, which I felt that. Apparently the lead singer, she describes a lot of her influences as pop 80 bands. So she really liked Madonna, stuff like that. So she wanted to have that very open, very understandable pop music going on. But there's definitely, I feel like, a little bit of goth influence in the musical structure. She also mentioned that she liked The Cure, and I mean, who doesn't? And so you can definitely hear that a little bit in the music itself before, like, the singing starts. Also, she has that's the one thing that surprised me is like when I first saw like, a thumbnail of them, I'm thinking, that's a cute goth chick. And I'm just like, hey, I'm a simple guy. I see a cute goth chick, I click. Like, what you doing? But then she's just like, oh, excuse me, I'm gonna play some pop music. And I'm just like, I'm okay with that. And so, basically what you need to know about Pale Waves is cool pop music, goth chick. And so, real fun stuff. I really liked the music. Maybe a little bit of Mars Argo, a little bit, just sort of the melody. Not so much like their aesthetics or like the way the Mars Argo kind of sings, but just I feel like there's definitely a little bit of comparison between like that type of pop music and the type that Pale Waves does, just to give you a reference point. Last one I listened to, it wasn't pop music, was this guy named Blackbear, which is a rapper. And I actually found out, I was like, doing a little bit of research before we started. And blackbear, like the guy, apparently does a lot of music with Mike Posner, which, if that name sounds familiar to you, and it should, he's the guy who sang Better Than You, like from way back when. You got designer shades to hide your face. Dun, 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 dun. I don't remember the lyrics, but if you haven't heard Cooler Than Me, literally look it up. It's super like, that was my childhood. That and Sheryl Crow's Soak Up the Sun. And so, basically he does a lot of music with him. And I actually really liked his stuff. It was easy to understand, so it wasn't like, what you would call mumble rap. But it definitely had that sort of like more modern, like sort of like chill vibe to the beats. And it's like, the lyrics are like sort of more emotional, more like personal, but then that music is just like really relaxing. Like, it's not chill hop relaxing, it's not lo-fi relaxing, but it has a slick beat to it, which just was comfortable. It was nice listening to. And so it sort of had that sort of like, electro hip hop vibe to it. I liked it. So those are just, three bands, three artists I listened to. If you want to know the album names, that was Tikkle Me by Tikkle Me. Pale Waves is My Mind Makes Noises. And Digital Drug Lord by blackbear. So, if that sounds cool to you, check it out. I'm going to put some links to the singles that I liked that I first heard from them down below in the description. And, if you like that, let me know. I'll also post some links to some other, YouTube videos that I've watched, some stuff that, inspired me as a creator. That way you can, kind of see somebody else's, interpretation of the stuff that I like. And so, yeah. I hope you enjoyed the video, both my unpacking, what's in my bag video part of it, and, this whole music segment. If you have any suggestions for, bands, let me know down below in the comments. If you have any suggestions for video ideas or tech or any of that stuff, I want to hear from you. And, yeah. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. That helps me grow my channel. That helps me meet new people and become a better YouTuber. And I just want to thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Only thing I want to mention is that in February, I'm going to try to do a little bit more live streaming, just mostly so that I can, kind of dilute how much video editing I'm going to be doing, but also to learn how to use OBS because I want to definitely get more software experience. And so, yeah, there's going to be some different, things happening on the channel. I'm glad to hear from you guys. I'm glad that you're here, so thanks. This is False Bulls, signing off.